Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Discover Spiritism Network. My name is Mauricio Cisneros. And as talked about in the introduction video of the network, I am going to be talking about the divine laws, in our lives. The divine laws are described in the third part of the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec. And it's basically the most important thing that we can understand in our lives is the divine laws. So I'm going to be using a few books throughout all of these sessions, all these studies, these presentations. Of course, the first one will be the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, mainly the third part of the book. But of course, many other questions. We're going to be studying many other questions and answers from this book. And a life-changing book, which is also in English, translated from the Portuguese to English, which is The Meaning of the Divine Laws in Our Lives, which was written by a few friends from the Spiritist Federation of Mato Grosso in Brazil. So both of these books are on Amazon. You can acquire them. I'm going to post a link in the description of this video for those books. So what we're going to be looking at is some slides, some PowerPoint slides of a few questions of the Spirit's book. The Spirit's book has over 1,000 questions and answers. And what we're going to be looking at today is just 3 or 4 questions that are what we call like key questions of the Spirit's book. Some questions they're key questions because there are many other questions that depend upon them in order to be explained. So there are many other questions that just flourish off these key questions in the Spirit's book. So the first question we're going to be looking at, as you can see, it has a long answer. This is the whole question and answer here. But so what we did is we broke it down, okay, and we're gonna like analyze it like in different sections of this question. So the first part of the answer to this question, of course, the question is: are some spirits created good and others created bad? A very important and a very intelligent question that was asked by Allan Kardec. And the answer was the first part of the answer, the first paragraph of the answer was: God has created all spirits in a state of simplicity and ignorance. That is to say, without knowledge. So basically talking about the very creation of the spirit of the spiritual being is no knowledge. We're just created to actually gain knowledge, actually go through experiences. As it is pointed out to us in the continuation of this answer. He has given to each of them a mission with a view to enlighten them and to make them gradually arrive at perfection through the knowledge of the truth, and thus to bring them nearer and nearer to himself. So our mission here is really our main mission. We have, of course, many other different missions. We're also going to talk about that throughout the presentations here. But our main mission is to enlighten ourselves, all right, so we can get closer to God. And it continues explaining this perfection is for them the condition of eternal and unalloyed happiness. So basically telling us that, you know, the only reason to find complete happiness is to enlightening ourselves, is to becoming perfect. Is only then we're going to feel truly fulfilled and happy all throughout our lives and existence. And he continues Spirits acquire knowledge by passing through the trials imposed on them by God. So many trials are imposed by God on us, on living beings, on spiritual beings that we all are. And there's a reason for that. So it tells us that the reason is, of course, to acquire knowledge. These difficulties, trials, experiences take place, so we become more enlightened. And it says some of them accept these trials with submission. Now, this is like the last part of the answer, and it's very important, because some of them submit to these trials, to these difficulties. Some submit, as we're going to see in other sessions of our study, submit in a loving way. It's not at all in a passive way of submitting and just letting it be. And arrive more quickly at the aim of their destiny. Others undergo them with murmuring or complaining, and thus remain through their own fault at a distance from the perfection and the happiness promised to them. So, as it says here, the question is asking if everybody, some spirits are made good and some bad, and so on. So basically the answer is telling us everybody is created exactly the same way and has the same tools to progress, to perfect themselves. And as it says here, in this part of the answer, some take a long time to progress and enlighten themselves because they stagnate. They're always complaining. They're always feeling like others have more than they have, and that they don't have enough. So they're always murmuring, complaining. So they stagnate. Some progress faster than others. So very important key question 115 of the Spirit's book. Throughout the study, throughout the sessions, we're going to come back to this question many times, okay? So the next key question here of the Spirit's book. What is natural law? What is natural law? Natural law is God's law. It alone ensures the happiness of human beings. It shows them what they should or should not do, and that they only suffer when they deviate from it. So, another very important question there. And as we can see, the natural law, which is all the divine laws, okay, it's actually the first chapter in the third part of the Spirit's book is the natural law. And after that, there's another 10 chapters describing in detail what the natural law is. And we're going to see about that like a brief description of this natural law in our last PowerPoint today. So it alone ensures the happiness of human beings. So the divine laws are put together in order for us to achieve happiness. These are what these laws are for. These are like so many laws, human laws that we have, that are designed to provide us happiness too. For example, the laws, the traffic laws, right? The laws of driving laws, right? They are there to help us. So we, instead of walking home, we can drive a car home. And all we got to do is respect these laws, and we won't have any problems. So this is what the divine laws are for. Of course, the divine laws are much more perfect than any human law that we can imagine or think. And it shows them what they should or should not do, and that they only suffer when they deviate from it. So the reason why we suffer is because we deviate from the divine laws. Whenever we deviate from a law, we cause suffering to ourselves. And we're going to see a lot about that too in our following sessions to this one. So another question we have is, where is God's law written? In the conscience. Let's repeat that. In the conscience. So whenever we are created, these laws are embedded in us. They are imprinted in us. And he continues talking about that. Since we carry God's law in our consciences, why does it need to be revealed to us? You have forgotten and misinterpreted. God wants it to be recalled to your memories. So how have we forgotten it if it's inside of us? Because throughout many lifetimes, we have gone through great length and struggle to make sure we don't listen to these divine laws that are where? In the conscience. We do everything we can not to listen to our consciences, so we can do other stuff that has nothing to do with existential values, with values of the spirit. We do everything we can to concentrate in material things, and we create these materialistic habits throughout our lifetimes, and that is why we get to a point where we can't really recall, we can't really remember these divine laws that are within us. And that is why trials are important, difficulties are important, and they are all embedded in these divine laws. So these trials, these experiences wake us up from these behaviors, these bad habits we have created, and we can then connect once again with God. And like I said, this is our last slide today. It's a very, very important slide because it shows all the divine laws, 10 divine laws described in the Spirit's book, described in detail of the Spirit's book. And the important thing to know is that in order for us to connect to these laws, we are invited to, we are asked by our own consciences to utilize virtues, to practice virtues. The practice of compassion, the practice of patience, and so on, like any virtue we can think of, is the only way to connect to the divine laws and utilize these laws for our happiness. And this is where we're going to pick up from in our next presentation, talking about a lot of steps in order for us to know how to better connect to these divine laws, in order for us to know how to utilize these virtues in our lives, how we can better do self-reflections in order for us to pinpoint imperfections in ourselves, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot more coming. I hope you are here with us the next time around, and thank you so much for watching the Discover Spiritism Network.